Frolo is the app that several thousand single parents say has been life-changing for them in the most profound way. If you're a single parent and want to connect with other single parents and open yourself up to an amazing support network and new experiences, then the Frolo app is the one for you. The Frolo app has two modes: community mode for meetups and holidays, guidance and support, chats, and discovery to make it easy to find like-minded local single parents near you. Dating mode is a mindful, safe, and respectful dating offering where everybody is there to date another single parent. All users on Frolo are verified, putting our user safety first always. The Frolo app is free to download and use, with the option to upgrade to premium for access to lots of additional premium features for an elevated experience, which makes it easier than ever to access the incredible connections and experiences you're looking for. To download Frolo, search for Frolo, Frolo, on the App or Google Play Store, or go to www.frolo.com for more info. We can't wait to see you on the app soon. Hi, I'm Zoe Desmond, the founder of Frolo, the award-winning app for single parents that features both community and dating modes. And I'm also co-author, along with my wonderful friend Rebecca Cox, that I made through Frolo, of the book How to Be a Happy Single Parent. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Frolo podcast. Today, I am delighted to be joined by Anna Bajus, who is a clinical and counselling psychologist and mom of two. Anna's an expert in relationships, including how to heal from a toxic one, how to date when you're over 30 and back on the market, and how to combine dating with being a single parent. Anna, welcome to the Frolo podcast.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for inviting me here.
Really looking forward to having a chat with you. And I know that there's so much of your work and what you do that will be very helpful to our listeners and resonate with a lot of our listeners. So I guess the first thing I always want to know is, how did you end up getting into this area of psychology in particular?
So I'm a clinical psychologist already 7 years, and at the beginning, toxic relationships were not my expertise. It kind of happened organically, when I've been going through my own divorce and trying to deal with the personal side of it. So then I realized that that's something that single parents, they don't get much support from the outside world. They're not very well prepared to deal with the circumstances they're put into. So therefore, I started to I wouldn't call myself expert in this field, but someone that understands what the person is going through. So then I can also help them in a better way. So that's how it all started. Yeah,
absolutely. And I think there's no better expert than someone who has been through it themselves and has the real life experience and empathy as well, to show for it. And so with your personal experience going through the separation of your of your kid's father, how did that, what were the things that you found the most challenging during that time, and how did you how did you support yourself, or what were the things that helped you to get through the other side?
Yeah, I think what I struggle the most with, and I think many single parents can relate to, is how to prepare kids for the transition into a different lifestyle, because that's what it is. Like it's not really something that you can really prepare yourself for, and therefore that's even more difficult to prepare your kids for. But in reality, I now can see that not taking proper care of myself and focusing only on them wasn't the greatest idea. That it's really important to remember about yourself in all of this, because then the kids can see your stress. It's really like I would say that's the crucial part, to not think only about them in this, because that's what many parents do. when they go through divorce, but also to think about ourselves and our well-being, still, being social or finding, your support group, talking with friends, and just thinking about yourself in all the painful process that divorce is. Yeah.
Putting on our own life mask first,
Exactly.
isn't it?
Yeah.
And I actually have a friend who is a single dad, and he texted me this morning, and he's clearing out the house so his ex and himself and their two kids have been living in the same house for a while, and so and the relationship's been over for quite some time, and I think it's not been amicable and all of that, but he said he's been hit with this absolute wave of guilt and sadness about the kids, and about, I can't believe what we're doing to the kids. And I think it's so awful, because a lot of, I think, us single parents who are who become single parents from relationship breakdown put so much guilt on ourselves about, oh, we couldn't hold it together for the kids, and
for the sake of
I think a
kids.
lot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I guess there's a lot of that outdated narrative of better to stay together for the kids, and instead of having a broken home and all of that really doesn't help. But so I just wondered what your take is on that, and how what your view is of what's best for the kids, in terms of two parents staying together or separating.
Yeah, I think it's like a common mistake that many people think that it's good to stay just for the kids, so they have two parents in the same household, and they experience two parents at the same time. But in reality, all the psychological research shows that actually it's not better for the kids. It's much better to have two happy parents in two different households, even if they have to share the custody over the kids and everything, rather than two unhappy parents living together. And that's also what kind of when I was going through my own divorce was kind of pushing me towards ending it, to because I realized that it's not good for the kids to stay in something that I wouldn't like them to experience. And
Exactly.
and I know that many parents have those thoughts, and that's completely normal, because obviously we want what's the best for the kids. We want them to be happy. We want them to have I believe no one is going into the relationship and decides to have kids with a thought of getting divorced. That's not really the plan that we have in our mind. We want to be happy, want to have like a happy family and create a perfect life for them. But sometimes it's just not possible. So then we do have to make the decision what's going to be best for us, and therefore what's going to be best for the kids. And there's this saying that's like happy parent, happy mom, happy kids, something like this, right? And I do strongly believe that that's the case. And and all of the parents that were going through divorce, they do have those sort of guilt, but later on they see that was the good decision, that was the best decision that they could make at the time.
Yeah, I can vouch for that. That was me, 6 years ago, when I was separating from my son's dad, and my son was only one at the time, and there was such guilt in that I couldn't hold the relationship together for my son's sake. And now, I mean, I am so relieved that and of course, like, in an ideal world, yes, of course, exactly as you said, I think most couples who decide to have a baby together, I think this is obviously long haul, but now my son has two homes where he is absolutely loved in both, and two healthy homes instead of one that is full of stress and tension. So it's I'm completely at peace with that now. So I think it is an important message to get out there for anyone listening to this who might be in that early phase or feeling worried or guilty, or is this the right thing? Because it is so important to remember as well the types of relationships we want to model to our kids as well, I think.
Yeah, exactly. And that's it's also important to know to realize that only we know what we are going through and how much we can take. Because many times I see it in my clients when they are telling me that they are considering, divorce, separation, but, their parents, their friends are saying, maybe, you can stay a bit longer. You can see, maybe you can try this and that, when you know that you've done everything you could to save the relationship, the marriage, and of course it's good to listen to some advice, but then it's also important to know, okay, I've done my part. I cannot do any more to keep it alive, just for the sake of kids. So that's also something worth to consider, to remember. Yeah,
For sure. And then thinking about single parents listening to this who maybe have moved on, who have separated from a relationship that has, been difficult or toxic. How do people prevent themselves from repeating the same patterns?
That's a very complex question that I would think that how to prevent yourself. That's first of all, we need a lot of healing after being in a toxic relationship, no matter how long it has been. Especially when we had kids with this person, it's okay to take time off from the dating scene to focus on ourselves, on being a parent, on just getting our life back together. Because sometimes we think, okay, we need to find someone to be there for us. We cannot do it by ourselves. We need like some support, just someone to be there around. But many times we do need to take time off and realize, okay, what was my part in this? How did it end up there? Not putting ourselves in like this guilty cycle, but to see, okay, what made me to decide that I will be with this person? Why did I make all of those choices without judgment, but just kind of to see the consequences of our own action? Mm-hmm. Maybe dig a bit in our childhood. This is a psychologist me trying to, to see all of those little factors that contribute why why we're picking a certain people. That's something that we can do through therapy, but also we can do it ourselves to kind of see, okay, maybe there is some pattern in my behavior. Maybe there is something that I'm doing that is kind of attracting the certain type of people. And thinking about that and realizing, yeah, okay, this didn't work out. What am I looking for right now? What was the problem in the previous relationship that I don't want to face again? Because maybe there is something in me that I can heal. Maybe there's something that I can focus on right now, that when I enter the new relationship, it will be different this time.
Yeah, completely. I think that's such good insight and such good advice. And I guess the benefit of the older we get and the more relationships we have that don't work out, there is that benefit of hindsight and being able to piece different patterns together. And I think that is there, that can be an amazing an amazing thing to really reflect on and have awareness about. Going into whether you decide that you want to open yourself up to another relationship or whether you're ready. But and so what would you say? I mean, it's such a classic question that's asked, but I think it's a really important one, and one that people are really interested in. Are there any particular red flags that you think people should be aware of in terms of trying to avoid getting into a relationship with somebody that's toxic or unhealthy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as I would say, the major red flag would be the lack of communication, being, very. If we see in this person that something is off, like many times we have those instinct in us, we just don't listen to it. We feel that maybe there is something not really healthy about this person, but I'm still going to try to find out because maybe I'm not right. And that's while sometimes we can give a second chance and everything, but it's worth to particularly pay attention, especially if we're a single parent that we're gonna introduce someone to our kids. It's important to see, what am I feeling, how this person makes me feel. That's the important part. Do I constantly feel on the edge? Having this butterflies is not always the best feeling. It's more about stability. If someone makes us feel safe, and when we start to feel this way, gradually get into the relationship, not just hop on into starting a new life together, but observe, how do you feel, what's in it for me, in a way of exactly, is this person making me feel safe? That's the most important part. And when it comes to another step, when we introduce our kids to them, also observe how the kids react to this person, because sometimes kids can have a very good instinct about the people. So that's also worth to just keep in mind. How this person is around kids, and how they feel around him or her. Yeah. And if I can add something to my previous saying, it because I said that it's good to take some time off of dating scene. What I would like to add is that we don't really necessarily have to hold on with dating, but it would take much more effort from both sides if we decide to meet with someone, go on a date and create a new relationship, because then we would have to still look for within us what we need to heal, and then the other person has to accept it in a way, and being more like just mindful about the fact that we just came out from a toxic relationship, so we might need some time with building the trust and just and just feeling safe in the relationship. So I'm not saying no to not dating after. Yeah.
Absolutely. And so if there are, how do you, any guidance or advice on introducing the kids then? Like, when is it best to do that? How is it best to do that?
I think it's very individual decision when we want to do this. Like someone will be ready after just a few days. Some people would take a few months. But what I would say, the best way to do this would be to do it organically, just kind of not make it like a really big deal, just, this is, this person that I've told you about, more just kind of like a casual way. It also depends on the age of kids, obviously, because I guess the older they are, the more they understand what's going on. But when we are talking about the little kids, then it's kind of it should happen more organically. That's what I would advise. That would be the option that I would.
Yeah, absolutely. And what about co-parenting with somebody who you are trying desperately to heal from because it was an unhealthy relationship or a toxic relationship? Obviously that can be very challenging, because if they weren't if they weren't the parent of your kid or kids, you would be able to just go, okay, out of my life, don't have to kind of
block
ever
their number,
speak to them, see them again,
exactly.
block them everywhere, they don't exist. Obviously that's not possible. So any tips on how to look, on how to create kind of boundaries around your own self-care and healing process, but also do the best co-parenting you can while protecting yourself?
Yeah, that's the very complex topic as well, because it all depends how the relationship ended and how do we feel about it, and but the best would be just to keep very basic communication, to not talk too much about what's going on in our personal life, just focus on the kids. If it was a really toxic relationship, then we can keep only one way of communicating with them. For example, just have like a different email account to communicate about, things about kids and all the necessary things that we do need to share with the other parent, and don't really contact with them on the other, WhatsApp calls or Facebook, any social media. But that, again, it all depends. If it was a really difficult breakup, really toxic relationship, then that's the best way to feel more secure with ourselves, with protecting ourselves from the other person. We cannot keep much from the kids. They're gonna talk with the other parent anyway, right? So it's not really that we can completely, as you said, block them out of our lives. Then it still feels like the other parent will be present in some ways. But we can do as much as we can and focus just on ourselves, and not really, again, ask maybe kids the questions about the other parent, because it can go both ways, right? Because we might feel like that we want to know what's happening in their lives. But that's not really healthy from our side. So that's something I would advise not to go into. What else? The communication level. This is like the kind of not trying to argue with the other parent. Keep it as simple, as straightforward as possible. Have agreement how and when they're gonna see the kids, because that's also could be a problematic on the way, right? So if you have all those sorts of settings, let's say, then I'm sure it would be easier to get into this transformation. But again, it will take time to kind of adjust to the new situation, because it is a major change in our life, in our kids' life. So that's something that we have to keep in mind, that, okay, I'm going through a difficult process right now. It might take time for all of us to adjust, to feel okay with all of this, what is happening. So again,
Absolutely.
Don't feel guilty what's happening. Like sometimes, it can go not the best as it could, but still we're doing already enough to keep our kids safe. Yeah.
And on that point, actually, in my kind of final question is, what would you, based on your experience as a single parent and also the work that you do as a psychologist, what would your words of wisdom or advice be to a newly single parent navigating, in the very thick of things right now? What would your words of reassurance be to them?
Words of reassurance. When you go through this really stressful part of your life right now, remember this too shall pass. This period of your life that is really stressful will eventually settle, and you will find peace in your life, and you will feel better, and your kids will also feel secure in the situation that you are right now. So I think when in doubt, when you think that there's not really a light at the end of the tunnel, you focus on yourself and kids only. That's the most important part, because now as a single parent, you are the one supporting them. So you have to do whatever it takes. Sometimes, order takeout and just, do the stuff that you would normally not allow your kids to do, for example, just to survive through this time. That's what I would say. Yeah. Just to make them, because it's more about the connection with the kids rather than all the other things that we want to make up for them in a way.
Absolutely.
So it's worth to remember what's important there rather than, all the other additional factors.
Absolutely.
Outside.
It's definitely an opportunity to lose the perfectionism.
Exactly.
For sure. For sure. Amazing. Anna, thank you so much. All of this has been really, valuable and insightful. guidance for our listeners, and really, really appreciate you talking to me today. And so finally, it would just be great to hear, how do you work with your clients, and how can people find you and touch base with you, and what does working with you look like?
So I provide one-to-one session with people everywhere in the world, and I help to heal from a toxic relationship in depending on what level they are. I help them with a different approach, because many times people are still stuck in the toxic relationship when they come to me. So we create a plan together how to get out of this situation. Sometimes, it could be even like dangerous. We didn't touch this topic much, but when it comes to, like domestic abuse, for example, and all the other things around it, that's something that we need to keep in mind, that it's not always that easy to leave a toxic relationship. And then when the relationship is over, there are other steps that I I do with my clients, that I guide them through. We focus a lot about their past, about their childhood, what sort of certain connection there is between what sort of partners we choose, depending on our childhood, because I do find it very interesting from the field of psychology that it's kind of many answers are there in our past, So that's what I do with my clients, and also focus on the present, how to go back to a dating scene, how to start to feel yourself again, how to, just how to reconnect with yourself, the parts that we lost on the way in the toxic relationship. So that's mainly what I focus on with my clients.
Amazing, very powerful work, and I know that it is very, a lot of the Frolo community and our listeners will find the work that you're doing very relevant as well. So thank you so much, Anna, and we'll put all of your details on how to find you in the show notes of this episode. So thank you so much for speaking to me today, and thank you everyone so much for listening, and we will see you soon on another episode of the Frolo podcast. And that's a wrap for this week. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. If you did, then I have one small favour to ask. Please can you take a minute to subscribe to the Frolo podcast and give us a rating and review? This really helps other single parents who might benefit from it find us. The Frolo app, which is fully user verified for user safety, is available on the Google Play Store and the App Store, and you can find out more info and download links at www.frolo.com, or follow us on Instagram at Frolo app. And you can purchase your copy of our book, How to Be a Happy Single Parent, at all the major book retailers. Until next time, have a great week.